Hey everyone, this is Carmen from carmenmastropuro.com, and today I'm going to be talking about 10 SaaS copywriting tips. Now, it's believed 86% of businesses will run their apps purely through SaaS after 2022. So now why this matters is it just means that there's more opportunities to acquire customers and grow as a tech business. However, sales won't just fall in your lap. One of the things you definitely need to do to generate more sales and take advantage of this growth is writing good copy. Because good copy gets the attention of customers, it helps resonate with their problems and their experiences, build trust, and many different things that I'm going to be sharing today, such as the first technique, which is using calls to action. Now, this is probably one of the more subtle techniques you can use in copywriting, but it's super effective. And a call to action, or CTA for short, is just a phrase or a word that tells users to take a specific action. Now, they're very important because it removes thinking out of the equation. So if someone's already emotionally invested in the product you sell and the problem it solves, it just makes them that much more likely to purchase. And as well, there's an amazing book called Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. And the general idea of this book is more for web design, but one of the main principles is essentially designing sales funnels, landing pages, and different properties in a way where customers don't have to think. Everything's very self-explanatory. And one great quote from the book is, "Your objective should always be to eliminate instructions entirely by making everything self-explanatory or as close to it as possible. When instructions are absolutely necessary, cut them back to bare minimum." And while you're doing this is you're just lowering the amount of obstructions and obstacles someone has to go through before purchasing with you, and it just makes them that much more likely to buy. Now here's a great example from Salesforce, the CRM company. They have calls to action plastered all over the homepage, and I love this. There's calls to action for demos, trying their software for free, viewing case studies, learning about the company, and reading their blog. And now the really good thing about this is that all these calls to action target different buyer personas and people in the different stages of the buyer journey, because some people might not know too much about Salesforce, thus they want to learn more about the company there on the bottom left. Maybe they want to read more about their blog on the bottom right, or maybe they're on the fence and they need to try out a demo or read the customer success stories to learn if Salesforce is right for them. Now, here are some calls to action you can use yourself. Now, it depends on exactly what you're trying to achieve and where you're placing these, but it can be something like get a demo, try a demo, schedule a consultation, buy now, buy today. Once again, experiment with these, do A/B split tests, and apply them to the appropriate pages where it makes sense. And the second SaaS copywriting strategy would be emphasizing product benefits. Because if I were to ask you what your product does, what would you say right now? It's really easy to start listing like different features, like things you see on the right there, but it's not entirely why customers are buying from you. And in fact, it actually might be very far from it, because features are factual pieces of information like users per account, pricing, integrations, and obviously the customer needs to know that, but what they're really interested in is the emotional and experiential benefits. So Shopify, the largest e-commerce platform, is an amazing example. So when we go to one of their feature pages, we're greeted with this nice hero image and headline, everything you need to start an online store and sell online. And then scrolling down the page, we have a further explanation about selling online and how at their platform, it's never been easier, faster, and scalable, which are once again benefits of using their platform. And then we really get to see some great copy scrolling down the page where they dive a bit more deep into exact features, such as their drag and drop store builder. So customers can choose from over 70 professional themes. Obviously, you don't have to be a web designer and learn how to program. That's a big benefit. It literally says no design skills required. Designed for mobile means that themes are fully responsive, they get a consistent experience, and once again, you don't have to learn how to program a responsive website. Getting paid quickly and securely, obviously that'd be a big concern for e-commerce entrepreneurs, and the copy says they can instantly accept credit cards without any third-party accounts. So what I advise you to do when you're writing SaaS copy is start to think about the benefit of the feature, okay? Obviously, you have to state exactly what the feature is, what it does, but start to think about what is it actually going to do for the customer on an emotional level or an experiential level. Is it going to help them save time, make more money? Think about things like that tied into your copy, and it makes it much more emotionally appealing. Which brings me to strategy number 3, which is painting a picture. Imagination is emotion mixed with inspiration. It's such an amazing strategy to use in writing copy. And now this is Monday.com. I don't know about you guys, I get their ads all the time, so I had to include them because they actually have awesome copy when I visited their website. Now, one thing I really love, on the right side, it says, say goodbye to useless meetings and painfully long email threads. I think any entrepreneur can relate to that. So their ideal customer is going to read that, imagine the last time they did experience those situations, and it's going to make them more interested in seeing what Monday.com has as a solution. And that works so well because it's emotional, and no matter what you're purchasing, there is going to be some degree of emotion involved. Now here's a great study by Harvard Business Review, and they actually concluded some of the top 10 motivating factors in terms of emotion that people use to buy something. So now this can be used both for B2C or B2B. Now I mostly focus in the B2B niche, So for example, the first one, standing out from the crowd, a business would obviously want to have some kind of competitive edge. So if your SaaS product does offer something very unique, make sure you focus on that, having confidence in the future. Businesses obviously want longevity, and you can go down the rest of the list and apply to your exact product and customer base. All right, number 4, talk numbers and get specific. Vague copy never works. It's really boring. It's like seeing a landing page for a SaaS product and it just says, our platform makes money and increases conversions. That's cool. I guess that's a benefit, but it would have been much better if it said something like, our platform has helped customers increase revenue by up to 500,000 and conversions by 17%. It's a subtle difference, but those numbers actually make a huge impact on the experience and how someone interprets your brand and copy. So here's a case study from one of HubSpot's customers. It was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And you can see right there in the title, it says that they grew their audience by 81%. And they could have just said they grew their audience, but by putting in that percentage, it makes it that much more interesting and powerful. And readers are going to wonder how they actually achieved that, increasing the click-through rate. And then if you scroll through the case study at the very bottom where they have more success stories, you can see it's the exact same thing. 78% increase in leads, 66% increase in bookings, and 3.8x website traffic. So when you're writing your own copy, whether it's headlines, whatever it might be, start mixing in exact numbers, especially if you have them from case studies and customers. Now, strategy number 5 is using emotional power words. Every word has the power to change our emotion, thoughts, and actions. So for example, if I say the word Miami, what would come to mind? Might be, being by the beach, palm trees, and nice weather. If I say Wall Street, you might be thinking of downtown New York and, lots of money, guys in suits, right? And these are just single words, but they can start painting a picture in your head. And there's also a great book called Words Can Change Your Brain. And the author, Dr. Andrew Newberg, says that a single word has the power to influence the expression of genes that regulate physical and emotional stress. That's why if you strategically use words, you can literally elicit very specific emotions and thoughts in the customer that aligns with buying your product. So I love this software called LastPass. It's a Chrome extension as well, and it essentially protects your passwords and has a password generator. And right on the headline there, it says simplify your life. And when you think of simplify, you might think of relaxing, peace of mind, not having to worry about things. Once again, it's just a really simple, no pun intended, power word there. And then if you actually scroll down the page, they use more power words, and one of them is emergency. So it says upgrade to get the best of LastPass with flexible sharing and emergency access. So best is another power word actually that implies that it's going to be top tier software. And then emergency, because bad things can happen, you can get hacked, you can lose passwords, you might share them without needing to. And once again, it's just going to elicit certain emotions and put those thoughts and images in the customer's head. And then of course they have call to actions and buttons you can click. Strategy number 6 for SaaS copywriting is establishing a tone of voice. So let's say a customer visits your website, your Twitter account, Facebook, and other channels. Does it look like a different writer wrote copy for each channel in the sense that it just sounds different and it doesn't look very congruent? It's a very common mistake, and ultimately it can just confuse people because it waters down the branding. And our brands love consistency because it helps us trust somebody, and those small little irregularities are like a warning sign to our brain, because it can make things seem fishy. So Neil Patel is an amazing example of what to do. If you look at his blog, he has like a very specific style of writing. It's unique, it's friendly, it's casual, but it's authoritative. And then if you actually go over to his Twitter, he pretty much speaks in the exact same way. And then if you go to his Facebook account, I did not get the best screenshot there with his face, but you can see that it just keeps that same consistency and that same tone. And then if someone lands on this page or they go back to his Twitter, his website, it just creates that comfort in the consistency. So what I recommend you do is just think of a few words that describe your brand. Once again, it could be authoritative, friendly, casual, and then just reference those every time you're writing copy. Make sure all your writers, if you have some hired, have those in the content guidelines. If you don't have that established, definitely get a little PDF or a Word doc where you just kind of outline everything the writers need to do, and then everyone will be on the same page, and no matter what's being published, it all sounds the same. Strategy number 7 is getting the customer to say yes. So Joseph Sugarman is one of the world's best copywriters. He also pioneered a strategy known as the slippery slope. You might have heard of it. And the idea is to take advantage of sentence structure, flow, and formatting to keep readers on the page for as long as possible. Now, one component of this is asking questions. So this engages the reader directly and feels like you're asking them something personally. Now, if you actually ask questions that they're going to say yes to, such as, do you want X result? Are you experiencing X problem? Does X symptom sound familiar? And obviously that comes down to actually really understanding your customers, and I'll talk more about that later. They'll be saying yes to these questions, And the theory is that they'll be more likely to say yes to the sale later on when you present it. So here's an example I really like. There's Chargeify, the payment processing app, and right on the homepage, as soon as you land on it, it says, ready to transform your billing from a business blocker to a growth lever. So it's a great question because I've dealt with a lot of payment gateways, especially when I was doing e-commerce. And while they're great technology, it can actually really slow you down because there's a lot of fees. You can run into rollover issues and there's so many problems. So asking this question is going to resonate with the audience. They're probably going to say yes. And then right below there, they have a talk to a B2B SaaS expert button call to action, which gets people into their funnel. Number 8 is understanding the F pattern. Now, this is more of a design element that's going to accompany your copy. But studies have shown that our eyes tend to move in the exact same pattern, which is the shape of an F on a web page. And it actually makes sense. So if you look at this example, normally you're going to look probably at, let's say, the logo. You're going to go over to the right, look at the navigation, go a bit down, left to the right, look at that main hero image and the place where calls to action tend to be, and then you're going to go back down. So now what you can do is take advantage of this by putting the most important copy and call to action on that second horizontal line and just having that traditional design where you have the logo on the top left, good navigation, and this is going to maximize the amount of users who contact you, sign up for a demo, or just engage with whatever call to action you've placed in that area. And now I mentioned that you got to understand your customers, so strategy number 9 is surveying them. Because you need to know your customers like the back of your hand, because then you can align the copy with their goals, feelings, values, and fears, and ultimately just generate the most results from your writing. And you'd be actually surprised how many customers will happily give you feedback, especially after they've had a good experience with you. So I recommend using a free tool like Cognito Forms. You can go right onto their website, sign up for a free account, and if you actually just click Start Building Now, you jump right into the form builder. So you can add questions, check boxes, and more just from the left sidebar, and then you can click that and then customize them individually. So you want to be asking questions like what they experienced using your product, what prompted them to originally use it and contact you, what problems they were experiencing, what it solved, and things like that once again, because then you can write copy that aligns with that, which ultimately is going to resonate with new customers. And then finally what you do, they kind of have an interesting setup because after you've made the form, it asks you to register. So do that, create an account, it'll put you on the Cognito Forms dashboard. You can click the All Forms list, find your form, hit the sharing option button, and then you can either embed it into your site, share a link, or share it on social media. And then you just want to use all this information you get once again to improve your style of writing, the copy on different sales pages, landing pages, etc. Last but not least, guys, strategy number 10 is don't be afraid to brag or name drop, because social proof is big. If you've worked with Fortune 500 clients, let it be known. If you've volunteered and made a big difference in your community, let that be known too. If you have impressive case studies, definitely display those. And it can actually be just as simple as showcasing a logo bar of all the clients you've worked with, like Slack does on their homepage there. Now that logo bar with the headline, trusted by the world over, implies that Slack is trusted by some of the world's most reputable companies, and it's actually becoming increasingly important as 63% of consumers need to hear company claims before buying from them. And in this case, if companies like Airbnb and Ameritrade trust them, why wouldn't an everyday customer? But that's all for today, guys. I really appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed SaaS copywriting tips. I'll put a link to the original blog post in the description of the video. But in the meantime, subscribe, share this with a friend, and I'll catch you in the next one.